Hi everybody, this is Lynn from Creative Concept Crafts with this week's release, and it's the beautiful big bow. This is one that I've created and I'm actually going to be adding it to this week's card shape. So that'll be in a second video. You'll have to take a look out for that one. This one's been decorated with a central rose flower and some leaves from the Flowers and Flourishes. There's quite a number of ways you can put it together, and I'll talk you through as we start to put the design together. So I've cut out all the component parts. We've got 3 base pieces, 3 matte pieces, 3 lace pieces, and then it's the decoration. All I've done is just glued the tabs together on the ends of the plain mat and the lace mat. They're both the same size. It just makes it easier to leave them, to fold them through. And I've added the lace just in the centre of the base bow shape. Okay, so you need to shape the pieces. That's the 3 pieces for the base. There's the 3 plain matte layers, and then there's the lace overlay, which you can use or not, is entirely up to you. So many different ways to put this particular bow together. You can either use the 2 big bows and stop at that, the 2 little bows, stop at that, or as we've done here, all 3 with the lace. And these are the large and medium sized leaves from the Flourishes collection, and that's one of the small roses that I'm just going to pop into the centre when we finish. So I've already cut out, and in the centre you can't really see them very well, but there's little slash lines, and those are what the tabs are going to fold into. I find it easier if you just lift them a little bit. Just makes it easier when you come to tuck the tabs inside. So you're just folding them in half. Don't squash the ends. I've just rolled them over the end of the table. I'm pulling down with my bottom hand and just allowing it to slide through at the top. So I'm going to repeat for each of the ends. So there's 4 in total. And once we pop it on the table, you'll see there's quite a bit of shape there. So it makes it fairly easy. That's the right side, and you flip it over to the wrong side before you start to tuck. Otherwise, you'll have the right side of your cardstock on the wrong side of the bow. So you're actually finishing up with the bow pieces on the right side. Tuck the tab into this slot and then bend it backwards towards the bow shape. Okay, it looks a bit odd at this stage. It's a bit of a funny shape, but can you see there's the tabs? And then you're just going to pull those tabs backwards, and I will be adding hot glue. You're pulling them back towards where the fold of the bow is. So that secures them from sliding out. And then I just add a little bit of hot glue to each of those tabs. And I would do, except for doing the video, I'm just going to do all the folds together and then do all the gluing together. Okay, so we're going to repeat for the other base piece, repeating the shaping. So you slide in between one hand and the other, and then folding those tabs into the tuck lines. And once you turn over, you fold the tabs back. These are the ones that I've glued the 2 pieces together. There's nothing glued. I haven't glued the mats together, although you can do if you wish. But I just leave them loose. And again, you're shaping. It's exactly the same way. So once you've done one, they're all done exactly the same way. It's a little bit more fiddly to tuck these in because you're going through 2 layers. So it takes a little bit of time and patience, but I'm just poking through and just giving it a wiggle left and right just to open up. and then a little bit of patience when you're tucking them in. Sometimes it can, even though you've glued them, it can fold back a little bit, but persevere. You can actually use paper for making these bows as well. 100-gram paper will and does work. I put a bow on the top of the gazebo last week, just done in paper. There was no lace mat on that one, but I did only use 100-gram paper. So there's a lot of options. I just used cardstock with this one because I wanted to use the glitter card and I felt it would need a little bit more oomph behind than paper. So exactly the same thing, so that you're loosening those, getting the two slash lines together, give them a bit of a wiggle so that you're allowing room for those tabs to go through, and then just push them through one by one. You'll get used to it once you've done a couple of them. When you're using two lots of cardstock like this, they are a little bit tricky, but worth persevering with. So I'm now going to add glue now to the tabs on the reverse side. So the tabs are folding backwards towards the fold of the bow. So systematically adding the glue to each of those tabs and folding back, and just press and hold just for 2 or 3 seconds until the hot glue bites. And we're going to repeat for all the other pieces. So there's 4 to do in total. It only takes a tiny bit. It's just to hold it more than anything so it doesn't pop out. So we're now ready to put the bow together. I've shaped these bow end pieces. The base piece I've shaped down. The middle mat I shaped up, and then just on the where the point breaks into the little shape, I've shaped that downwards and I've shaped the mat up. So again, you can, if you wish, you can add the mat, glue it all the way onto the plain mat, but I like it to be separate. It's just my personal preference. So we've got a down piece, an up and down piece, and an up. I like the dimension, I like the shape that it leaves behind. So now we're ready to construct the bow, and all you're going to do is just layer all those layers one on top of the other. That sits as we are. As soon as you add the glue and start pushing down, that centre hole disappears. So a reasonable sized blob in the centre of your bow, and just push down in the middle. At this stage you can stop. So like I said, you don't have to put the lace mat on. So you could have 2 of the same size. You could have the mat and the main base, and then I've also added a little central one in the file. This has come off the one I did previously, but because I'm continuing, it isn't big enough to take it. It works with the big bow, but it won't work once the little bow's added. It will also work if you want to add it to the little bow on its own. But as soon as you start to push them down, that hole in the centre, can you see it closing up already? And again, you can stop at that point. I think these are fantastic. The red and green makes beautiful Christmas bows. And you'll see what I do with this in a few minutes. I won't give the game away, but this is a really great Christmas tip. Little Christmas gifts you could make almost. So can you see now how that is really closing? I can just about get my finger in the middle to hold it. Can you see how that's closed up now? So I'm now going to add the bow to the base. And again, a decent sized blob of hot glue. Just centre it down. And again, pushing down in the centre. Got to give it a bit of welly because it's quite springy as this because of the fold on the card. So don't be frightened of pushing down. So that's your bow completed. And now you can add the embellishments however you want to. That one I added, like I said, I'm going to repeat the same thing that I'd done on that one. That was the flourishes, large and medium leaves, and a rose flower centre. And I'm going to repeat so you can see how I've done it. But you can use any leaves, any flowers that you've got in your stash. But I know quite a few of you have the flourishes and you also have the roses. So you can do them one exactly like mine if you wish. You can add these, you can add as many as you want, as few as you want. I could have added more quite easily. You could also add gems to the edges of the bow if you wanted. That would be another option. You could glitter the edges of the plain bow. It's just down to your imagination. How far can you take it and what can you do with it? And I would love to see them on my group, on the Facebook group. There's nothing delights me more than seeing your makes on the group. It's really exciting for me as a designer. So there we go. It's so, so pretty. And I'm just, as I said, I'm going to pop the little flower into the centre. Again, you're going to have to push it down to get it to bite into the middle. Alternatively, if you've done one with the stamens and you've got the stamen stem actually makes it a bit easier to add the glue to, so you could go down that route as well. I've decided I'm going to add a hanger here. So it's a little bit of organza, very narrow organza ribbon. I'm just going to cut the ends off at a diagonal. And you could use this as a Christmas tree decoration. You could use it as a door hanging. You could put it onto a wreath. So there's quite a few options. Just levelling out, deciding where it needs to go and where I need to add glue on the back. So I'm just going to pop that down into position. You could make that loop longer if you wanted to make a door hanger. You could add more ribbon. You could add several layers. So I've decided to do that, and I'm going to add a bow in green. So I'm using the two colours that are in the card. I'm using my little bow maker here. I'm sure you've all got something that you use to make. I'm making a double bow. So I've wrapped it twice around. One side goes over, one under. I come down underneath the loops, up over the top, and then fold one side into the other. Don't pull it too tight if you want to add the beads. And it's just not like an iridescent bead that I really like to add to my bows. And put that through before you pull your bow tight. You could again make a bigger bow. You could use wider organza than this narrow one. So I'm just separating the two bows, one up and one down. And now we're ready to add that. I'm going to add it to the top of the hanger. So again, I'm just adding glue, just positioning it to the bottom of the hanger, and then you can just move your pieces to where you like them. So you can see the beading there, you can see the tails, and then when I lay it down you'll see the whole thing in position. So that's the Christmas bow, and there's the one. Now you're going to look out for the next video. I'm going to add this bow to a TP card. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Happy crafting. Until the next time, bye.